You are listening to Phil Hulett and Friends, coming to you from Berth 76 at the ports of Call in San Pedro, California, overlooking the bustling Los Angeles harbor through the soundproof windows of the palatial LA radio studio. I'm Phil Hulett, and I thank you for listening. This is an old school talk show with a new school twist. On this episode, guys juicing their T count, the dangers of testosterone supplements. Kids in Northern California are coming down with a polio-like virus, and doctors are completely baffled. We're excited about crowdfunding for podcasts. And finally, we'll revisit my story, a story I told in episode 19 about my doctor, my bird, and a bucket. Making a rare but welcome appearance to the show is Jennifer Bjorklund.
You know.
He likes his steak rare. Here's Jay Campidonia.
I'm actually glad Jen's back, because now I can shave. I was
You're
staging a
actually
protest.
glad?
He's got his Jen beard going. And our resident piece of meat, Chris Martin, is here with sports.
Excited to be here.
You know, I may be Armenian, but I'm not that hairy, okay?
No, what
the
are you
Jen
talking
beard.
About? Well, no,
That's
it's
what
like
it
a
is.
playoff beard.
It's what it is. As soon as you left, I said, all right, I'm growing a beard just like hers.
It's protest is what
You're
it
going
is.
to be ZZ Top if you keep this up.
No, it's coming off tomorrow.
As often as I've been here in the last few weeks.
Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Phil Hulett and Friends. Send us an email and make sure that you CC Jen. But it's feedback at philhulettandfriends.com. Wow, you've been gone a long time.
I have. You know, and it's just dumb luck that I end up, there are news stories that happen on, there's even a spider web on my microphone. Look at
That's
that.
how long
You
it's
see
been
that?
since it's been used.
Yes. There's just news stories
There's a
on
joke
Thursdays,
there,
and I've been called in every Thursday for the last few.
Well,
so.
the sun somehow is bouncing off your hair and bringing out the natural highlights.
Oh, wow.
What
You
is
really
that?
did miss me.
No, it's different. It's
Take a
something
picture.
different about it.
I don't know.
Did you have to
Tweet
get
it out.
like your hair done to be on TV?
No, I haven't done a thing.
They're like, hey,
That's
look,
what I said. Natural highlights.
I see what he's saying.
Natural
It is.
highlights.
we want you
I
on
know.
television, but make sure you stop by that salon and
That's right. Oh, yeah. The silver highlights are shining right through.
get rid of that stash.
Yeah. Well, all right. That's good. And Jay, I must say, that's quite a beard you've got going there.
Thank you.
We should post that, right?
I'm a good Italian guy.
It's grizzly,
I know it is, huh? And it's gray.
burly.
I know. So I'm glad you're back, because now I can shave.
Well, I'm honored that you were growing your
So
your
give us an
facial
idea.
hair.
What kinds of things have you been working on since you were gone? Because we always say you're on
Yeah.
assignment, and of course not for us.
Exactly. Well, last week, I think you actually saw me on TV last week, didn't you?
I did, in fact.
Yeah, I was on KNBC here locally, but I was on a bunch of other stations across the country as well, because there was that Powerball winner up in
That's right.
in Milpitas,
Milpitas.
San Jose, in the Bay Area.
What's the Spanish for a million penises?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, what now?
I don't know it. I'm going to Google that because I don't know what Milpitas. It sounds like maybe
Wait a
it's an
minute. I thought
Indian
you were
word.
a journalist who digs under rocks for the facts.
You
and all
mean
the, and
a
the,
reporter that
and the
didn't do her
backstory.
research?
Milpitas.
What does Milpitas mean?
A million pitas.
Well, mil in Latin would be 1,000.
Yeah.
Pitas.
Oh, 1,000.
Meaning.
Oh, yeah, okay.
1,000
Not like pita bread.
Right.
How Milpitas got its name? There is no. The Milpas were derived from milli, meaning 1,000, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And then I'm waiting for the page to load so I can read the rest
No.
of it.
All right, I just took a picture of my thumb, Jay. Let me get a shot of you.
What's the matter with you?
We got to get your Jen beard on the on the Twitter.
Oh my gosh, you're right, Phil.
Is it 1,000 PDs?
1,000 pitas. Pitas being century plants.
Really? And they had 1,000.
See, that's what you
Just
meant,
corn.
right, Chris?
That's exactly what I meant. I've seen a century plant. They're awesome. They bloom once every 100 years.
Really?
Wait,
Yeah.
are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious as a heart attack.
Indian
You know
farmers
this?
grow
Why do you
maize
know
in what
this?
is called a
I don't know.
milpa. It refers to a maize field. Milpa, I don't know. Milpitas is something like
Either way,
cornfield.
somebody who lives up there is uber rich.
Right. So somebody won $425 million in the Powerball drawing. So I went up there and I was covering it for NBC because even though the guy didn't come forward, the store gets $1 million. And the best part of the story was the store owner was on his way to India to visit his family.
Yeah.
And he left the store in the hands of his sons very able-bodied, nice young men running the store.
Yep.
He also left them his cell phone because he did not want to be be
He was.
I
going,
don't want the headache.
He was
is what
going
his son
off-
said.
off
I
the
don't
grid.
want the
Nice.
headache.
Yes.
You don't call me. I'm going. He's on a nice trip. So they were like, they can't even text him or call him. They just had to get him at like his cousin's house.
Yeah.
After he got there.
And the guy was so happy too.
Yeah, $1 million.
He took the check. The son took the check, and he hasn't been seen since. Right.
Right. Thanks, Dad. You didn't want the headache. I took it away from you.
Yeah.
Hey, we were asking
So-
last week, is it $1 million to every store owner? Has it always been $1 million,
No,
or does that vary?
It varies. The $1 million is the maximum. It's generally a percentage, like a 1% or 3%.
right.
I don't really know what it is, but whenever it's a big jackpot like that, it's usually $1 million because that's the maximum.
Right.
Cool.
So yeah.
Well, yeah.
So
and I
that was
watched-
a fun.
I
It was a
watch
fun
on
story,
TV, and that's
yeah.
always good.
And then I'm not lying about trying to worm my way out of the podcast.
No, I know. You would be here if you could.
Yeah, and the week before, I was actually on the sets of a few NBC shows that were taping. Yes, and I got to interview a few of the characters from Parenthood, and I got to go to Parks and Recreation.
How fun!
Yeah, it was fun behind the scenes, and I tasted all the different goodies from all the different craft services. And I've decided that Parenthood had the best spread.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And what was this for? This was for affiliates to know
Yeah,
what's
this was
coming down
for-
the pike in terms of their
Yeah.
primetime comedy?
For NBC coverage of primetime comedy, yeah.
Parks and Rec is the funniest of those, I think.
It's a funny show, and the people on the show are so fun. They're all having a good time.
I've never seen either one.
Really?
So basically, it was NBC's coverage of NBC.
Exactly.
Yes. Right.
Exactly.
If you're an affiliate, you got to be happy to know
They
what's
do
coming
like
down.
to, like they like to have you do the behind the scenes thing, and
Look, I'm best friends with Amy Poehler.
yeah, we're buddies.
How about that?
It was a good time.
I can't say that. Can
I
you say
can't-
that?
No, I cannot.
I can say it.
Alec Baldwin
Yeah,
yelled at me
he's
on the
be
red
alive.
carpet.
I
one
like
time.
that. Isn't it
Really?
fun? He's going to play a journalist on TV now.
Oh, my
Can you
God.
believe that?
Boy, no.
I forget what show, but it's a show.
Wonder who he's modeling his character after.
Himself.
Somebody he flamed out on.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he wants to go into obscurity. Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
There you go.
I loved him on 30 Rock, though.
Yeah, he's a funny guy, but he's a little crazy.
Have you been honing your craft as news lady while you've been gone?
I've been working on it.
So what have you worked up today?
Well, did you read about? There's so much. There's
know.
so much going on today, and Jay and I always like to chit chat about the news headlines before
We're too busy talking about a certain someone in your life.
Oh yeah. Well, that's another story. But did you hear? Okay, where were you when President Reagan was shot? Do you remember that?
I was nowhere near him. I just want to
Yeah.
make that clear.
It wasn't you. Well, no, they caught the guy. It's so funny. I was in a photo lab in a graphic arts class, and we had to be locked in this room for 17 minutes while our stuff developed because it took that long.
Sure.
But we could see through the glass that the TV was on in the classroom, which meant something big had gone down.
Wow.
We were trying to read it because it was a little scritchy scratchy, graphic arts school
Sure.
TV set. And yeah, we're locked in there for 17 minutes, not knowing what had happened. And everyone's crowded around the TV, but that's where I was. But you don't remember where you were?
I was probably playing with Play-Doh.
You were
at
with
that
your
time.
friends, yeah.
I think I was still spinning circles in a womb.
Yeah,
Oh,
somewhere
boy.
around there.
Okay, so yeah, that was 1981. But you were nowhere near.
I was
was
probably
no.
eating Play-Doh.
I
no.
might have been at work at a news radio station at the time.
Yeah. Well, what's so strange is that John Hinckley, the guy that did the shooting, he's been only really spending half time on the inside. He's been getting out of the mental hospital that he's in and
What, do they
visiting.
let him trim topiaries? What is he doing?
Well, there was an order yesterday that his lawyer called a milestone. A judge has laid out the guidelines for monthly visits of 17 days that John Hinckley Jr. gets to make to his mother's home in Virginia.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
It is because, I think if you ask me,
Yeah.
I say the guy's dangerous. He's a danger to society, right?
Right, but
him and Squeaky Fromm.
I know. The hospital officials have said
Good reference, by the way.
the mental illness that led him to shoot the president in an effort to impress actress Jodie Foster, by the way. That illness has
Good
been
luck with that there,
remission
buddy.
for decades. I know, right? It didn't work then, and it really doesn't work now.
No.
All right, here's
Yeah.
the big test.
Yeah.
Hinckley, Squeaky Fromm, and the guy that shot the Pope. That the Pope went to visit to forgive him when he was in prison.
Yeah.
Well, you remember that
you.
guy's name?
I don't remember that guy's name.
I don't remember that guy's name.
Not at all.
I remember John Wilkes Booth.
There
Right?
you go.
There you go.
What about the guy that shot Lennon?
What was his name? He just was in the news recently.
he was. Mike knows
David Chapman.
Mark David
Mark
Chapman.
David Chapman.
Chapman.
Mark David
That's-
Wow, you
David
guys
Chapman.
are good.
Good for nothing.
He sounds like
Good for
a
Jeopardy.
country western singer, Mark David Chapman.
Yeah, it's weird how they all
you go
have
to see
3
that?
names like that.
I know serial killers have 3 names. Is that just
No.
because?
No.
Is that?
It's
do you-
police stuff.
but do
Whenever
you
the
think
story
that's-
comes out about the accused, about
Yeah.
the suspect, they always use the middle name. And,
Always.
And as a rule, when I'm on the radio,
Mm-hmm.
I drop the middle name.
So do I.
Unless it's a Hispanic name and there's like 6 middle names. Then I
Yep.
say
Right.
every one of them
Because
for
that's fun.
effect. Yes, it is.
Well, I
Marco
wonder if it's
Martinez.
because
Takes up 15
because
seconds
those
of your
names,
30-second story.
Right.
But those names are so common, like Mark Chapman. There's probably got to be a lot of that name.
Yeah.
So you want to differentiate it from.
Because all those good Mark Chapmans were
Right.
probably getting prank calls
No,
and,
you know,
angry calls and death threats.
I kind of disagree because when you drop the middle name and it's like a Mark Smith, somebody that's common,
Right.
somebody's driving in their car and they're hearing Mark Smith. I know a Mark Smith.
Mark Smith
That-
killed the
Mark
president?
That's my neighbor.
Oh my God.
That's
Like,
my daughter's
that
teacher.
right there is what makes the world go round.
Exactly.
That makes
That's
it
like the
fun.
best part. Exactly. And I just go, poor Mark Smith.
You
Poor
know,
Mark Smith's
it's
family.
the details in the story that rule out things that can apply to
Yeah.
so many more people.
Yeah,
that
like
make
locations
it not
and
as
whatnot.
Fun.
Well, here's the
Yes.
other fun part about your
Yeah.
theory there, Jay, is that if you leave the middle name out, then CNN's going to get an exclusive interview with the wrong Mark Smith.
Right, like that poor David Katz.
That guy
you know?
did it. I promise. CNN, hey, we got him. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I've
You
had,
know that,
I've had John King on my radio show apologize on behalf of either himself or his network twice.
Oh,
And
that is
We're
hilarious.
waiting for the third time.
That is so funny. I love
Wow.
our business. Our
Yeah,
business
but you know
rules.
that's how the Philip Seymour Hoffman friend, another 3 names.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so David, it was David Katz is his first name. His friend that found him. The Inquirer started calling David Katz's, and this one guy says, "Oh yeah, that's me," and gives him an exclusive, and it's
Right.
the wrong David Katz.
I love it.
But if his name was David
Beauregard.
Beauregard Katz,
Yeah.
then
How'd that just pop into your head, Beauregard, like that?
Well, criminals, they tend to have flowery middle names.
He's a radio guy. We're taught to think on our
go.
feet.
Yeah.
I guess
I tell you
so.
what, you guys ever hear a Campadonia in the headline, you probably know who it is.
Exactly. Same with the
Just let you know.
Bjorklund.
Yeah.
Yeah, Okay, so deaths from heroin. We've heard
What?
a lot about
Oh,
them.
yeah, because
deaths
it's cut.
from heroin.
It's cut with,
being
like,
cut.
Drano and that sort of
powerful
stuff, right?
painkillers are skyrocketing. It is. It's terrible
It's not
for
the
you.
80s, Phil.
So listen to this. Governments and clinics are working to put out a drug that can reverse an overdose, a heroin or any kind of opiate overdose, into the hands of paramedics, police officers, people advocates say are the most
That's
critical
messing
group.
with the time-space continuum right there, isn't
Right.
it?
It's like going back in time. But the most critical group, people are arguing, are drug abusers and their families, right? Shouldn't they have the antidote?
Oh, like an EpiPen for people that are allergic?
Exactly,
You
because it's a disease,
So
right?
now we'll know when somebody comes to a party and they have a fanny pack on, they're either allergic or they're heroin addicts.
Exactly. But see, here's the conundrum. Here's the conundrum. Do you support the idea of like an addict having the antidote? Because does that just encourage them to use more?
Push the limits, yeah.
Exactly. It would just encourage
Like
drug
that
abuse.
scene
So,
in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
like, hey, Mike, listen, I think you've had a little too much.
Yeah.
No, don't worry, dude. I got this covered. I got my pen and my
Look at this
fanny
syringe
pack.
right here. I'm good to go. Line them up, baby.
oh man, that
Well,
was
next
like
thing
my
you know,
favorite
they'll
movie.
be having those, for alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And you're driving around, you're a .09,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that you see the flashing lights, you take the thing out and stab yourself in the thigh.
Well-
and by the time you blow into the thing, you're a .06.
Why wouldn't you just do that before you get in the car?
Smart.
Right?
Well, again, there's the time-space continuum.
Oh
thing.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And
All
the
right.
stabbing yourself in the leg thing.
I know. I don't like that.
Would you pay
idea.
extra for that, Chris?
Yeah.
You would.
Can I get it like in a pill? Are there pills that I can get? Actually, I think what's really interesting about this story is that police officers and a lot of police officers